I'm Dan Stevens, and I play Sir Lancelot, who is discovered in the medieval wing of the British Museum in this one. He has come to life for the first time. They stumble across him in the medieval wing, and he comes to their aid at quite an opportune moment, really. Larry and the others are having some trouble with the Triceratops, and Lancelot gives them a hand, sees that they're on a quest. Lancelot loves a quest, so he joins them. Lancelot is a man on a mission. He's a man on several missions, probably, as many missions as he can take on, really, and he loves it. And he is very much of the old school, I think, method of going about a mission, which is fairly loud and fairly brash, and nothing that a big sword can't solve kind of mentality, I think. Well, Sean and the whole gang really have been incredibly welcoming to me, bringing me into the family for this third one. And Sean is as much of a character in the film as anybody else, really. His energy behind the camera, his feedback, his reactions. Sometimes he'll play characters that aren't able to be there because either they don't exist or they're not in that day or whatever, or it's green screen. And he's very much in and amongst the action the whole time, feeding the energy of the piece, and that's been great, really. And I think Lancelot especially has a lot of energy to bring into the mix, and a lot of that has come via Sean, which is great. Yeah, I was a huge fan, and I'm a huge fan of almost everybody in this movie. I think I've sort of grown up watching all of their movies, and Ben and Robin, Owen, Steve, Ricky. It's a ridiculous list of amazing people involved in this one, and so yeah, I knew very much what I was getting into. I knew the world very well. I'm now watching the first two movies with my own kids, who weren't even born when the first one came out, and so yeah, it's really exciting to kind of step into a world like that. When we come into that scene in the Great Court and we span out and see all these creatures that have come to life for the first time in the British Museum, it's a wonderful scene, because it showcases a fantastic museum, and it's a museum that I grew up going to, all the time over the years, and to this day, if I'm in that part of town and I have an hour to kill, even I'll nip in. Well, it's pure imagination, which is what movie making is about. It's what storytelling is about, and we're not about sort of dogged historical accuracy necessarily. Lancelot isn't really an actual historical figure for a start, but we we take the idea, bring a bit of sort of medieval romance and marauding into the world, and see how that affects things. But yeah, I think throwing up these characters, some of whom might be forgotten by a current syllabus at a particular time. It might be easy for a certain generation to forget what a great president Teddy Roosevelt was, or how amazing the lives of the Native American Indian women were when they trekked across the land, or how extraordinarily hard it was for knights to fight in armor, which I can now testify to. I suppose one of the other things I love about these movies, and about particularly Ben's involvement in them, is that there is, Ben's quintessential humor brought to it, which, as a parent taking my kids to a movie, I know I would appreciate watching. That you have layers of it, and you have jokes for the grown-ups, jokes for the kids, and sometimes jokes for everybody. Not that the jokes for the grown-ups are inappropriate, but there's a level of humor going on there that maybe we'll go over the heads of some of the tiny people in the audience, but that's great, and that's for me what makes a fuller movie. And so yeah, it's been amazing to have the opportunity to play with Ben and with Robin, and with all these guys, really just going a little bit off script and seeing what happens. Watching someone like Ben work with Sean, and the speed at which they play, really, that sparks off these kind of brilliant moments, and the freedom to take a scene, to show up in the morning and say, actually, this needs a bit more this needs something injected into it, a bit of fun, a bit of playfulness, and so we'll go off 10, 15 minutes and, you know, have a play around, see what funny stuff can maybe sort of come out of that, and then we shoot it. And I'd certainly never had that experience before, and it's incredibly fun and liberating, and also just like making each other laugh, and the opportunity to make Ben or Sean laugh has been brilliant. And you know, at times it's been very, very hard not to laugh the other way around when, you know, things are going all over the place, and just trying to hold it together really. But no, it's a very safe set to try stuff and just to be as silly as you want to be, as well as the historical playfulness. I think there's a really good story at its heart, and the thing that I've loved about the first two movies is this father-son family story that really threads through the whole thing. And, you know, as Larry and his son Nick grow, and particularly as Nick grows into a man, there are a lot of questions for Larry. And I think, you know, as a dad, you want to be a good dad. And I think Larry Daly is a good dad, but he's very desperate to prove this and to explore what that means, and to sort of be there for his son. And that story, you know, runs right the way through all three movies, I think, you know, in and out of all the other craziness that's going on. There's also a huge amount to say about friendship and loyalty, and, you know, at the end of a 3-movie trilogy, there's a huge amount to say about these guys that Larry has cared so deeply for over the years.